Good morning and welcome to Mental Health Monday. My name is Steve Reed. I'm pastor at H2O Church in Orlando and a licensed mental health counselor. And this is the place where we take bite-sized pieces of mental, emotional, and spiritual health, seek to grow in our awareness. And as we grow in our awareness, there's more opportunity for movement, and movement can lead to freedom. And it is for freedom that Christ set us free. So welcome this morning, and as we're just giving a couple minutes for people to jump on, I just wanted to reflect that in this month we're going to be talking about something that is very, very common to all of us right now. It's come up in almost all of my meeting times with people throughout the week in some way, shape, or form. And it looks all kinds of different ways. And so we'll talk about a few of those today, but it also will look unique for you. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're strange. It just means that you're you. And so for me, it'll come across as a different way than for my wife and for my kids. And that's great. So when we start talking about angst, I'm going to define it. We're going to look at some examples of it, and then we're going to begin to process it, and we will end today with a tool that is really, really helpful for processing angst. It's also really helpful for regulating all emotions. So here we go. Angst is that feeling. It's actually a set of feelings, but it's that feeling when we hear the latest headlines and on COVID, and they say it's getting better, and that message inside us says, well, when is it going to be over? Or we hear the latest headlines and they say it's getting worse, and we feel that thing inside of us, well, when will it ever end? Is there going to be a time when this is all over? It's what we feel when our boss, who we have a ton of respect for and we want to see succeed, makes decisions, a series of decisions in the company that seem that they're going to steer the company in a negative direction. And I don't know if I'm going to still be able to stay with this company as a result of that. And I don't know if they'll have a position for me. And so it's that angsty feeling that has a number of different pieces to it. It's that feeling when your adult children make decisions you think are perhaps going to put them at risk in the long run, finances, schooling, love, whatever it is, and there's that sense inside that is angsty. It's that feeling when you're realizing, oh, I just hit the last hole on my belt while I'm getting dressed this morning, and I've actually been trying to be aware of what I'm eating and exercise a little bit more, and all of this COVID stuff has had me apparently less tuned into that and less healthy. And so it's that combination of things, angst. And it's interesting that angst is it is anxiety, but it's not just anxiety. Anxiety is that worrisome place that says, is what's going to happen? What's going to happen next? Where is this going to go? And that's a part of angst, but it's not the only part of angst. You could call it anticipatory worry, foreboding optimism. It's a mixture of things in addition to those pieces. I want to dissect it a little bit and notice that there's anxiety, but there's also this hope, and that makes it extra confusing. Like, this will end, right? And there's this hope, but it's an uncertainty of hope, and it's a hope mixed with anxiety, and so there's pulls in more than one direction, and that gives it that angsty feel. And lots of times, mixed with that anxiety pulling one direction and that hope pulling another direction, there's this sense of helplessness or powerlessness. I can't do something directly to change this. Angst is often about something that's bigger than me. Most of the time it is. It could be the whole world. It could be somebody else's things that they're deciding, my work environment, my kids, my whatever it is. Lots of times it's bigger than that. Sometimes it's like I'm responsible for where my belt connects and what hole it goes on. I make all those decisions along the way. But I can feel helpless and powerless in the midst of that when it feels like I'm doing everything I can. And so as we dissect it, it leads us down the path of addressing it. Because addressing it, we can't just do one thing and make it all go away. We need to specifically address the anxiety and worry. We need to specifically seek to address the powerlessness. And we want to figure out if there's a pathway to increase hope. And so each of those things we'll be taking a look at over the next few weeks. Today what I want to do is just offer a tool that, whether it's angst or frustration or fear or some other kind of high level emotion that our heart is experiencing, I want to offer a tool that can help us regulate that. This tool is very powerful, it's helpful, it's not super long, but we're going to spend the rest of the time doing this and then we'll sign off. So I do want to say that if you're driving and listening to me right now, this tool will be easier for you if you're actually sitting in a place and can tune out some of the rest of what life is going on, because you will need to tune into some of the emotional reality in your body and in your emotions, and you'll be needing to have an imagery space to do an imagery exercise. So right now, even as I mentioned some of those ways that we can feel angst, maybe some of those kicked in for you. Maybe some of those you were feeling a bit. And so I just want to invite you to think about something that has given you extra angst in the past few weeks. And as you're noticing that, notice those different pieces of it even. Notice that pull towards anxiety and worry, that little bit of hope, but that mixed with that powerlessness, if all three of those are there. And it might be for different circumstances that there's more anxiety or more hope or more powerlessness. So it's not the same across the board. But just kind of notice what all those are. And as you notice that, I want you to just kind of tune in and notice where that would reside in your body, if it resides in your body. Just kind of notice, wow, that feels like it's clutched in my stomach. Or no, there's this lump in my throat. There's this pressure across my shoulders. Just kind of notice all those things. As you do, I want you to imagine that those emotions and where it is in your body as an object. And the goal is to take the first thing that comes to mind after recognizing those emotions and where it is in your body, and mentally ask yourself these questions. If this object had a shape, what shape would it be? Give yourself a moment to picture a shape. Notice if this object with that shape had a size. How big is it? Is it tiny? Is it pretty huge? Someplace in between? Notice if this object had a color. What would that color be? Let that color be all the way through this object. Notice if it had a temperature. What would that temperature be? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it someplace in between? If this object had a texture, what is that texture? Just kind of tune into that and let it be what it is. Notice if this object had a sound. What sound would it make? Would it be high pitch? Would it be low pitch? What would it sound like? And just let all of those things be. Notice this object. As you're tuned into this object, I want to invite you to picture a color that feels especially healing. Is that a blue, a yellow, a red, a green? What feels that color. And I want to invite you to picture a stream of light coming directly from God in that color directly to your head. Just notice that. This is an interesting kind of light because this light is like grace. The more I need, the more there is. It's not going to run out. So just kind of notice that healing light coming directly from God into your head and letting it be there. And as it comes in, you get to be able to direct it. And so direct it at this object. Shine that light on that object. Allow it to flow into your head. Focus it down on the object. Let that light vibrate, resonate like a laser beam in and around that whole object. Allow yourself to just notice what happens to the object. Remember that the more light, the more energy that you need, the more is available to you. Allow yourself to feel the light enter your mind and allow that healing light again to vibrate and resonate in and around that object. And notice what happens to that object. And now, when you notice that that object maybe is gone or feels as though that negative energy is contained, allow yourself to let the energy that comes directly from God into your mind, into your head, allow that healing energy to move through your body, down through your neck and your shoulders. Notice that healing, allow it to move all the way out your arms to your fingertips. Allow it to move down all the way through your body, your legs, out to your toes. Notice that. Allow yourself to be engulfed, overwhelmed by that energy. Gently count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and open your eyes. Okay? So, that is a Lightstream tool, and you may notice that whatever you were feeling has been regulated down. Maybe it's all gone. So, our goal isn't always to get rid of our emotions. Sometimes it's to process them, to understand them, or whatever else. But with angst, one of the things that we want to be able to do is have a little bit of control of it. And using a tool like Lightstream to take it all the way down to a very low level, or to even take care of it all completely, can be very, very helpful. It doesn't mean that later on in the afternoon there won't be a sense of it coming back, but in that space of time, in the next section of time, it's reduced. I've been able to help regulate my heart, and that's healing in itself. So welcome to August is for Angst, and we will continue to tackle angst next week. If this is helpful for you, the way I know that is by you sharing or liking, and that's helpful for me. And if you feel like you know of somebody who either this tool or starting to think about angst would be really, really helpful, then go ahead and pass it on. So have a great week. I hope it's a blessing to you.